What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Brush Mode. Just in case you did not know so, I don't know why I got my headphones on for this, because this isn't a team-specific mock draft video. We're going to be talking about some of the guys that I think will be overdrafted in this year's draft. What that basically means is guys that I think that are going to go more early than I feel comfortable with myself taking. So, for instance, I might have a third round grade on a guy and he's rumored to be maybe a late first rounder. That person's going to be on this list. I got 10 names here, but before we get into that, go ahead, check out some of the team specific mock drafts. Check out your favorite team and tell me how it sucked. And we're going to have an NFL watch party here for the draft. So come kick it with your boy. And yeah, it's going to be fun. That's going to be Thursday through Saturday. Yes, I'm doing day 3 because I'm a freaking trooper. Also, what else do we have on? Well, I got the rankings videos up on here. Just go ahead, become a bro and subscribe and leave a thumbs up. There's a lot of content for you to indulge in. So pull out the dinner plate and it's a buffet, man. Just go at it, yo. Go at it. It's a great metaphor. Sure it is. But let's go ahead. Let's dive in. I'm just going to be kind of talking from the hip here on why I got these guys here. And probably the first name I really want to talk about real quick before we actually dive into the list is Mekhi Becton, because he failed a drug test at the combine. He has no history of failing drug tests at Louisville, and it doesn't seem like a big deal. He's already a guy that I thought was going to get overdrafted. Now, I don't think he's going to fall out of the first round by any means, but I think his fall might be because he was talked about as a top 10 pick, but I think his fall might be just comparison to Tunzel. He went at the 13th pick. He's not going to fall far if he falls at all. Like I said, he's got a pretty squeaky clean history. This might just be a diluted sample. I would think they would have said if the sample was diluted, like they did with Zack Bond, but they didn't. But as more information comes out, we'll figure out. We'll know more. But I don't expect a big fall. So let's get into the actual list. Albert Okwuegbunam. I got him here. He's currently my tight end 11. I have a 5th round grade on him, and he could go as early as probably late 3rd round, maybe early 4th. Some of the things that people like about him, the big thing coming out was coming out of the combine that I think it was a 4.41 40. The guy, okay, I'll give it to you. The guy's got straight line speed, but that's about it. He's a pretty average blocker for a tight end. He doesn't create space. There's a reason he didn't do any of the agility or the explosion drills, because he can't separate. He is literally just a, hey, run to the end zone type of mismatch. He wasn't great in the red zone. Part of that was probably missing Drew Lock, because he was a lot better when Drew Lock was there in the red zone. So you could put that maybe a little bit on Kelly Bryant, but overall, he's a guy that, hey, if he's there in the 5th round, I'm totally cool with taking, but outside of that, I wouldn't touch him any earlier than that. Next on the list is Derrick Brown, a favorite of a lot of people. My biggest gripe with Derrick Brown, because he is still my defensive interior number 2, right behind Javon Kinlaw. He's probably going to go in the top 10. That's at least how it sounds. I got a top 25 grade on him. I think if you are taking him in the top 10, you're missing out on way more valuable players. Way more valuable players. Tremendous physical upside, but my biggest gripe on him is his inconsistency as a pass rusher. He didn't really demonstrate pretty much pass rushing from the interior in 2018. In the first half of 2019, he wasn't much of a disruptor at all, but he really turned it up at the last half of the season. But again, that's still what? That's like a quarter of your sample size. That's not great. That's not consistency, But you gotta love. If anything, I think worst case scenario, because he's going to be a solid NFL player regardless. Worst case scenario, you get a dominant run defender, which is great. You could get those guys in day 3. What value is there if you're not going to be a consistent pass rusher from the interior in the top 10? There's way more value. Go receiver. Go offensive tackle. Go quarterback. Go corner. There's a lot more valuable positions than interior. And then when you're not a disruptor if you're not affecting the pass in a very pass happy league, that's my opinion on it. I know a lot of y'all probably really like Derrick Brown. He's gonna be a solid NFL player, but if I'm picking in the top 10, I'm not looking for just solid. I'm looking for Pro Bowler. I'm looking for franchise changing. I don't think he's that. Opposed to like a Javon Kinlaw, who is just he's not as sound technique wise as Derrick Brown, but he's been way better in pass rush. So you're telling me the guy who's way more raw from a technique perspective is a better pass rusher than Derrick Brown? Yes. So that's why I think he's way more valuable. But I know I'm gonna get hate on that one, but it's all right. It's okay. Next, I got Donovan PeoplesJones. It's currently my wide receiver 20. It's a very deep wide receiver class, mind you. But currently 4th round grade on him. He could go as early as it sounded like, probably in that mid to late 2nd round, maybe even early 3rd round. Guy, from a physical standpoint, he looks like an NFL ready receiver. He's built very well. He's got really good speed actually for his size. My problem with him is you didn't see it at Michigan. And you could blame the quarterback situation, Shea Patterson. But PeoplesJones, he has a good amount of drops. He struggled to separate in the short to intermediate level. Like, his bread and butter is really these posts, these stop and goes. That's kind of where he wins, because on the intermediate, he can't create separation on his own. So I got a few questions. I think there's just, as you can tell, being my wide receiver 20, I think there's receivers, at least 19 of them, that are much better at doing that than he is. So that's my gripe with him. Next, I got Isaiah Wilson out of Georgia. I actually really like Isaiah Wilson. He's my offensive tackle 12. Got a 3rd round grade on him, but he's got a lot of momentum right now going into the draft, because they're talking about him going late first. The dude's enormous. 6'6", 359. Problem is, almost no athleticism to speak of. He's still very sloppy from a footwork perspective. I mean, he's got slow feet. Part of that is he's a big guy, but for me, he's very limited in, at least early, he's very limited in what he can do. I've said this in actually a ton of my mock drafts, maybe even in my offensive tackle rankings video, that I think he's ideal in a team that really likes to run play action. Because Isaiah Wilson, his play strength is through the roof. He's going to be a very good run blocker. And on the play action, when he is given the ability to basically get to the point attack first, he typically wins. Typically. And I'll get to that in a minute. Like, in a play action scheme, or at least a more play action heavy offense, would really give him the ability to get to the point of attack first. Now, the problem with is the guy's, like I said, he's enormous at 6'6", but being a big guy, he doesn't really get that low, and defenders, they could get good leverage on him. It could be a little alarming for you don't want your big guy to get pushed back. And in the NFL game, you're going to be seeing much stronger defensive linemen, even stand-up pass rushers. So that could be a problem there. Few questions. Still like him as a prospect. Don't get me wrong, but he's a little rich for my taste, at least from what I hear. Next, I got Jabari Zuniga, guy I've kind of talked about all this year. So you're probably, if you're familiar with the channel, you're probably familiar with me and how I feel about Zuniga. He's my edge rusher, edge rusher 18. Got a 5th round grade on him. He could go late day 2, maybe in that 4th round area as well. He's a very good athlete, but he just has no pass rush to speak of, at least from the outside. He can't bend around the outside. He honestly, with Florida, a lot of the times, if he was winning as a pass rusher, he's got a sick inside move. And sometimes they would actually put him on the inside at like maybe a 3 or 4 tech, and they line him up there. But he doesn't have a great bend. I don't think he's going to be that good of a pass rusher. I still think he has a long way to go as a pass rusher. But you like the athleticism. There's a lot that needs to be put together there. I know during the offseason process, they've tried working him out at like a stand-up linebacker. I don't know if that really help him at all. I think he's better with his hand in the dirt. But yep, there we go with Zuniga. And then I got Jacob Eason, not the quarterback you expected. You probably thought I would have had Tua here because he had a very bad Wonderlic score. I think it was a 13. But I don't think that's going to hurt him at all, because you know who else had a 13? Lamar Jackson. So whoop-de-doo, the Wonderlic test is no one takes it too seriously. They rather football smart guys. Tua's a very, very football smart individual. But Eason, currently he's my quarterback 7. I got a 3rd round grade on him. But with him, they're talking about him going early day 2. Some people keep putting him in the late 1st round, and those people I think are blinded by his arm talent. And he kind of is, you could kind of be like, I don't get people, they give Justin Herbert so much crap about, oh, he's just arm talent, he's really not good at anything else. Well, he was a heck of a lot better under pressure than Jacob Eason. And Jacob Eason was behind one of the best offensive tackles in or offensive lines in general in college football. It was behind Trey Adams, who for the most part was really good. Jared Hilbers, who had a really good year this year. He just handles pressure terrible. I think he was one of the worst rated quarterbacks under pressure last season. And if he was feeling pressure with that type of offensive line, well, dude, let's talk about what NFL pockets, how big they are. You're like going from man pants to girl pants. You seen how tight them pockets are? They're almost non-existent. That's the type of pocket he'll be going to when jumping to the NFL. I like the arm talent. Don't get me wrong. I like the arm talent, the arm strength. He's got a lot of zip. He's got good touch, but I think he's still a developmental prospect at this point. Next, we got Jeremy Chin, which could be a little divisive because I love Chin. He's a great prospect. He got a lot of hype at the combine because he's an athletic freak. He's got a huge physical upside. He's extremely strong for a safety. He could play linebacker. I don't think he'll lose much trying to go up against. Well, I wouldn't suggest him going up against blocks, but I could definitely see him shooting gaps. But the thing is just he's gotten too much hype for me. I love the prospect, but he's gotten too much hype. Talking about he could go late 1st round. I got him as he's my safety 8, and I got him as a mid-day 2 pick. So we're talking late 2nd, early 3rd. 1st round, that's just a little too rich for me. Like, I love the prospect, and I get it. I get why he might go that early. But there's still concerns it's still concerns because it's not like he exactly dominated competition at a lower conference, I guess division altogether, but he didn't really he didn't stand out like Kyle Duggar did. who was facing similar competition, he didn't stand out like Duggar. Like he looked at place there at the Senior Bowl. Again, combine, he blew up with just the freak athleticism and all the drills. But I don't know. Right now, I feel like he can be maybe more athlete than football player. But I can understand why he's going that early. I just rather not take him there. It's kind of the theme of the list. Like, hey, these are good players, but they're too rich for my taste. Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU. The boy's a mammoth, man. His big thing is he's a people mover. Yeah, he wins a lot at the line. He's currently my offensive interior 10. And you might be like, well, then why is he on your overdrafted list? Well, I got a 3rd round grade on him. They're talking about him going early day 2, so we're talking like early to mid 2nd round. And that's too much for me because there's a lot of things I do dislike about him. Like this year when LSU, they transitioned to more of a spread type offense. You kind of saw the flaws with Cushenberry. Like, he's not the greatest athlete, but the good thing about playing center, playing on the offensive interior, is you can get by on being a borderline athlete. But there are still little nooks and crannies to his game. Footwork, not necessarily it's bad footwork, it's just a little slow. But like I said, I think there's just better prospects that are going to be around there early 2nd round, and I'd rather go with those guys than Cushenberry. And then Malik Harris out of Ohio State, another favorite of a lot of people. He's my linebacker 14 though. You got a 5th round grade on him. They're talking about him early day 2, so we're talking, like I said, 2nd round probably. The guy, he's got top notch length and strength. Guy's gonna be a great blitzer. This guy can go toe to toe with blockers, and there's a lot to like about that. And he made strides in coverage this year, but I still think he's above average athlete. The coverages at LSU, he was mainly like in a spy, so it's not like there was a lot of variety to what he can do in coverage. So to me, he's maybe just a 2-down linebacker. That's why I got a 5th round grade on him. I just think he's gonna get drafted way earlier than I would like. Then Zack Bond's last on my list, and this isn't because of the failed drug test, because his was diluted, so drank a lot of water. He said he was trying to put on weight, which I don't know if that makes too much sense because he's kind of a decent size to be playing off-ball linebacker, but I don't know, a lot of these guys, they go through a lot to try to look their best at the combine. So it is what it is. For me, it does that has nothing, that didn't make him go down my rankings at all. I've kind of always had him at this like linebacker 6, this 3rd round area, just because I'm not that high on him compared to a lot of people. He's got really good athleticism, good size for a linebacker, but he's never really been tested in coverage. It came into the Senior Bowl, and Joshua Uche came out and looked way better in coverage than Zack Bond. I think Zack Bond, yes, he's a developmental prospect at this point. I don't think you could throw him in immediately and expect him to turn out gold, make diamonds, you know? I think he's going to take a little bit of good NFL coaching, because I don't see him being like, he gets this Joe Schubert comp, and I think that's very unfair to him, because I would give that to Joshua Uche because he's a monster. I love Uche, but I think that's unfair to him because like he's getting all this late 1st round hype. I mean, I think, hey, if he goes in the 2nd round, I think okay, that's fine. That's not a reach, really. You're getting a very good prospect, good size, good athleticism, a lot of potential, but again, still, he's a work in progress, and he's probably going to get overdrafted. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, let me know who you think's going to get overdrafted and why some of these guys probably shouldn't have been on this list. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.